Dragon's Dogma 2 on the horizon, mark my lips, that game will be one of the best RPGs ever made.
Frog Fractions is a browser-based edutainment game developed by Twinbeard Studios for the Adobe Flash and released worldwide on October 25th, 2012. It was lauded for its wide range of gameplay mechanics, atmosphere, and intense on-the-fly mathematical equations, rewarding a methodical playstyle which was uncommon for its genre at the time. Described as the greatest game of all time by Rock Paper Shotgun, players take control of the titular frog, named Hop, with the goal of stopping an onslaught of bug-adjacent creatures from taking her stash of fruit-adjacent consumables, all whilst teaching you, the player, basic to advanced numerical fractions. A sequel was announced via Kickstarter in March 2014, but was seemingly never released.
A little over a while ago, I made a video on Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. When I first bought the game on Switch, I never intended to make a video on it. I found it annoying, a chore to play, and just overall kind of boring. Seeing everyone praise it to hell and back had me feeling like a crazy person. I felt like I was missing something. Like, what was everyone else seeing in this that I just wasn't? Despite everything, I kept trudging along until I beat the dragon and reached what I like to call the third act. And that's where I finally saw Dragon's Dogma for what it was. A super ambitious, fresh take on action RPGs, brimming with new ideas, ambition, utterly deranged unique systems, and this incredible meta-narrative on the hero's journey. Over time, it's become one of my favorite games. Not to necessarily play, but I think about it constantly. The director, Hideaki Itsuno, clearly poured his entire Itsunosi into this project, and you can tell that he wanted to do so much more. There was a foundation built here for possibly one of the greatest RPGs ever made that came just short of being realized, either due to budget constraints or time constraints or fucking whatever. There was constraints sprinkled all over this. The years went by, and the series, if you could even call it one, went into limbo. Itsuno went on to work on DMC4 Special Edition and Devil May Cry 5. You know, one of the greatest video games ever made. It was at this point that Kenzo Tsujimoto, the founder of Capcom, told Itsuno that he could now make whatever the fuck he wanted. And it was on June 17th, 2022, exactly 10 years after the release of Dragon's Dogma, that the sequel was finally announced. And I was there for it. Backed by the merit that he earned off of DMC5, Itsuno could finally bring his true vision to light, without any of the constraints that he faced in 2012. But the more we saw of the game on the lead up to its release, the more apparent it was that this wasn't just going to be a sequel. It was going to be a redo. Not a remake, but like a mulligan. And still, I was there for it. Maybe that's what this game needs. I mean, fucking Capcom is no stranger to remakes in the first place, and maybe marketing it as one would be a good way to onboard people that hadn't played the first game. It was actually the perfect approach. 2 years later, on March 21st, 2024, Dragon's Dogma 2 was released. 300 hours and 5 playthroughs later, I can confidently say, Dragon's Dogma 2 is not Dragon's Dogma 2. It's Dragon's Dogma 1. Again. Literally, I'm not being a prick. This is the title screen. Your eyes see true. This is not a redo, or a mulligan, or a fucking oopsie poopsie. It's the same fucking game again. I waited 12 years for the same fucking game again. Even after all this time, I still can't believe what I'm seeing. Or saying. Itsuno made me wait a decade for this game, and all he had to show for it was Dragon's Dogma 1 with fucking ray tracing. I don't know if I should call this stupid, insane, stupid, bold, all of the above. Fuck it. Why make a new thing?
fucking turn this shit off! None of this is real!
I'm not even recording any of this right now!
This is a paid actor! I am dubbing him! This is not what I look like! That is my husband! You thought this was real? You think I live in a green room? You thought this video was called, Ooh, Dragon's Dogma 2 is not what you think it is. Cause it isn't! This is How to Dragon's Dogma! Again! Same video right down to the fucking bones! Same structure, editing, random bullshit that doesn't fucking matter.
Glittermitten Grove is a fairy town management simulator with elements of Animal Crossing, Terraria, SimCity, and Tiny Glade that's throbbing at the seams with charm.
It's what you wanted, right? If Itsu can do it, I can do it. And I'm at least not charging you $80 for it, making you wait 12 years. Only 3.
Your pick. Any you like. What will it be today?
Once you're past the pretty fucking mediocre menu screen and hit new game, you are at the end of it? Wait, I'm the king? Did I win? What did I win? Is it this cup? Is it these time-stopping powers? Is that frog doing math? What the fuck is going on? You are in jail. There is a little cutscene. There is a little boulder. Tutorial. Gaming. Kill. Now. You play as a pawn, I think. And with the help of your... Wait, is that fucking rook? You don't really do much. Jump off a cliff. None of that mattered. Grow up. Move on. French. Again, make your fella. Move on. Now the game can properly start. Grow up. If this sounds different and scary, trust me, it won't be for long. This time around, the dragon's introduction is done through a flashback because it's a formality now. You know, we've been here before. It's like seeing Batman's parents get blown up. We don't need to go over this again. You know how it goes. A dragon pulls up, nukes your character's hometown and your character's home skin, finger blasts your chest, steals your heart, pearl necklace, eats your heart, etc., etc. You get it. You play as the Arisen, and with the help of your pawns, you set off on your journey of adventure and vengeance, where, would you believe it, you don't really do much. Again! It's from this encampment forward that the game drops all pretenses of being a sequel and has you do the exact same shit you did 12 years ago. No, really! Go to the encampment. The soldiers doubt your abilities. Find the pawns. Make your freak. Meet a master of the fighter vocation. Find a cyclops to prove your worth. Travel to the capital. And yes, there is a fucking ox cart involved. Great! Do a list of quests for the local authority. Discover that there's a conspiracy to awaken the dragon. There's a gay little wizard. The king gets mad at you and kicks you out. Go up a big fucking tower. The dragon shows up and kills the gay little wizard. Fight the dragon, kill the dragon. Itsuno does it again! And this goes without saying, but yes, I am skipping over the large swathes of doing fuck all the game has you do in between the plot.
Arisen, may I bid a moment of your time? I've just beseeched mayhaps aught be of use of thee. The local scholars at the School of Science have unearthed a contrivance most queer. Perchance it may help thee slay creatures most foul. Pray my literacy betray me, but if not, pray my literacy betray me not, but if I be not mistaken, 'tis known as an ROG Strix Scar 16. 'Tis a device that allows the user to access the world of webs. Should this be alluring, mayhap the Arisen be privy to one of his own. Might as well look while you're here, eh? This domain, known only to us as the Asus Republic of Gamers, features all of the details you'd ever need on the ROG Strix Scar 16, such as the Intel Core Ultra 9275HX processor, up to the 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and also up to the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090, powered by the latest in computing magic. If by chance your party would be privy to their own devices, 'tis but a trifle. The viewers need only click this,
Is there a word for link in Old English? Because I don't know.
and be awash with the very best experience gaming has to offer, thanks to the kingdom of ROG. If your memory evades you, the gracious link shall be found in the description. Fare thee well!
This shopkeeper speaks in true. It is structurally the exact same game you played a decade ago. So what's new? There's a fisherman. He's bald. And, you can dap up your pawns.
Well done, Master.
That's pretty, $80. Okay, I'm being a bitch. Although it is practically the same game, warts and all, wolves and all, the combat is somehow way better on every front. The original already blew most action RPGs out the fucking water in that department, and honestly, still does. I'm showing Starfield footage for no reason. Combat in Dragon's Dogma 2 has way more going on. It looks incredible, feels incredible. You can now stand on monsters that you're climbing, so you have access to your full moveset as long as you stay balanced. There's 2 victory songs instead of 1, so like, double the content. The new stagger and physics system makes every fight so dynamic and lends each encounter a sense that crazy shit is happening constantly. You can knock a Cyclops off balance and make his head hit a wall, knocking him out, or he can become a bridge.
Now that is a surprise.
Enemies can create... Imagine if I spoke like that. Wouldn't that be fucking obnoxious? Enemies can create post-mortem hitboxes, so you can take out 2 enemies at the same time by killing one so much that he flies into and kills one of his boys. You can impale a goblin on your greatsword and then throw him off a cliff, killing the griffin that ran away with 1 HP. You can do this! Fuck! And you can knock a golem's head clean off his body and then roll it around like you're building a really shit snowman and then use his own lasers against him. And this is only the stuff I can remember. I have over 300 clips of this game. They're all combat! The vocations, while being incredibly similar, are also not that at all. They are, dare I say it, finally balanced! They're now designed to avoid redundancy where one vocation would make half your choices completely pointless. Why play fighter, or strider, or ranger, or warrior, when assassin could do fucking everything? I loved assassin, and I'm glad it's gone. Meanwhile, there's 10 vocations in Dragon's Dogma 2, and only one of them can dodge. Everyone else has to work within their limitations. Thief can dodge, but folds upon the slightest breeze. Fighter is versatile, but doesn't really excel at anything. Mystic Spearhand is Virgil. Wizards can levitate, but are squishy as hell. And Trickster is, shit. I'm gonna be real. I still don't know what this guy does. I wrote down the words Bong Jutsu. So, you know, make of that what you will. Every class has been redesigned to be laser focused at being good at one thing and terrible at others. That way, all of them feel unique. And they do! It leads to more experimentation, more variety in playstyles, more diversity in how you build your party, and if you do really miss Assassin, the Warfarer lets you basically create your own vocation at the expense of having worse overall stats. It's fucking brilliant! The contentious aspect of the combat is the skill slots. The first game had 6, while this one only has 4. And that sucks, right? Like, I can't defend that. Justin Roiland once said, less player expression equals game stinks. It's so late, I'm so Chinese. And I can't disagree. But here's what I think. And what I think is good. That's what you fucking deserve. This is my revenge. I'm a warrior main. I've been dealing with this shit my entire life. You fucking bougie ass assassins and mystic knights and whatever the fuck else got to coax through life with 6 whole ass skill slots while I slaved away in the pits, eating 3 slots for lunch from the trough like the good little pig I am. And now you're down in the dirt like the rest of us. You will eat from the trough and you're gonna fucking love it. And guess what? For you, it's 2 less skill slots. But for me, holy shit, a whole new skill slot! It's Christmas! So if I hear another unlovable, pathetic mongrel tell me that it's a crime that their overtuned wizard can only bring 4 stupidly busted fucking spells instead of 6, I say, fucking cry about it! Anyway, what I'm trying to say is... you should play Dragon Dogma 1. It is same game but worse graphic.
Any rarities to sell? I'll pay you handsomely.
In terms of how it all comes together, Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game that hates you, and that's the only warning you're gonna get. The systems that it carried over from the original have been reworked to be a little bit more fucked up, and the new systems are just completely fucked up. The health system is the same, where every iota of damage reduces your max HP, but now your maximum health cannot be recovered with healing items. And every time you die, you respawn with 10% less of it. Lest we forget, DD2 autosaves all the time. So if a boss is mashing you into soup, too fucking bad. You have no choice but to run and find the nearest camp to get your life back. See, resting at camps is the only way to recover your...
Oh, wow, cool! Awesome! Welcome to Nazi vermin!
And you can't rely on your pawns either, because Dogma 2 introduces Dragon's Plague, a venereal disease your pawns can catch that, if left unchecked, will nuke the next city you rest at, killing every NPC. And the only way to get rid of it is to either kill your pawn or pass it to another one. This wasn't a joke! This game is not afraid to leave you behind. You can stumble into the credits and miss half the content. I know someone who, allegedly, 100%'d the game. They still think it only has 6 vocations. It's fucking brutal. It's a game that makes absolutely no concessions for the girl playing this. You have to meet it on its terms. At times, it feels like the game is pranking you. It will slight you in ways that feel deeply personal. You will be the target of many instances of cosmic bullshit. Borderline, no, straight up cheating. This should suck. But you have the tools to cheat it right back. You only have to pay attention. Here's an example. Early in the game, you get a quest to rescue a guy from jail, and to do that, Brant gives you a key. The game has a skeleton key style system where some chests are hidden inside cells all over the map. Those doors can only be opened with the makeshift jail key item that'll break after one use. So on normal person playthrough, your pockets are full of keys just in case. The only key that doesn't break is the one that Brant gives you. And to make sure the game doesn't break, he asks you to give it back once you've rescued the guy. Except, I remembered that before I break homie out of jail, I can take an ox cart to the checkpoint rest town, get ambushed because Adolf Hitler, find Ibrahim pawn shop, feed him the infinite jail key, wait a day, receive the infinite jail key and a duplicate of it that does fuck all, back to Vernworth, Adolf Hitler, prison break, talk to Brandt, he asks for the key back, I give him the knockoff, and congratulations, you never need to worry about another jail cell ever again. And all that was possible because I cheated. I've never felt so rewarded for thinking outside the box since MGS5. The game has so much whimsical, stupid shit that it never tells you about. Pawns can now take you directly to treasure that they found, and fighters/warriors can throw you up to them if you can't reach them. You can rip off quest givers by giving them knockoff items from the pawn shop, keeping the real ones for yourself. And even if you get caught, you can bribe Ibrahim pawn shop to do his famous Ibrahim lie. And just like the first game, you can train pawns wrong and make them completely fucking useless. I waited a real life hour for my fucking fish and apples to rot so I could deliver them to the elves for a special delicious elvish meal, only for my pawn to turn that food into special delicious fucking useless lamp oil, you fucking moron! I was gonna eat that! But on the other hand, stupid pawns are the only pawns you can play pig catch with. Pig catch is a secret minigame where if you pick up a pig... Okay, one more example. This one's my favorite. There's an optional quest with a Sphinx. And when I say optional, I mean optional. She's located at the very north of the map, an area you are never ever directed to, past 3 caves and a giant battlefield with a dragon on it. Her questline involves solving 10 riddles of varying complexity. The problem with designing riddles in current year is that the only thing stopping me from instantly solving it and every other puzzle ever designed is my phone's battery. One of the riddles she gives you involves a series of items called Seeker tokens. These are the collectibles you find strewn all over the map. I had a couple. The riddle goes as such. Hey, remember Seeker tokens? Okay, cool. Go to the place where you found your first one. You have 7 days. You know, that's funny. I lied. I didn't have a couple. I had 80! This fucking riddle is a stroke of genius and immensely fucked up. Not just because I had 80 and there was no way in fuck that I was gonna remember where any of them were, let alone the first one, but because if you don't solve every riddle perfectly, the quest line ends. And lest we forget, DD2 autosaves all the time. They finally did it. The ultimate cosmic bullshit. A puzzle I literally cannot Google. So I failed it, obviously, and figured I'll just complete it on my next playthrough. To be fair, everyone fails it. My friend Jake ran into the Sphinx as I was writing this, and he told me he also had no idea where his first one was, and he immediately gave up. But here's the thing. If you think Jake is fucked, you haven't been paying attention. I'm on my 6th playthrough. I'm not falling for that shit again. Go to the Sphinx, start the quest, walk all the way to Melv, find the spot. There is now a finder's token there. Travel to Vernworth, board an ox cart to the checkpoint rest town. Adolf Hitler. What's up, Ibrahim? Give him my finder's token. Wait a day. He makes a duplicate of my finder's token. Go to the Rift, find Jake's pawn, hire them, dismiss them after a while, which lets me give them an item on the way out. Give them the Booga Finder's token, Jake rests at an inn, he wakes up to his pawn, giving him a fucking Finder's token. Jake runs back to the Sphinx, tells her he's solved the riddle, hands her the fake Finder's token, and...
Well sought and well found. I trust it was a pleasant jaunt. As promised, you shall have your prize. Look for it in yon chest.
Outstanding.
This game fucking rules. You know those videos of devs watching speedruns of their own game and they just feel fucking worthless witnessing people who have spent their entire lives mastering the craft of engaging with as little of their art as humanly possible? This is the opposite of that. All these systems are optional. The Ibrahim is missable. The Sphinx is missable. My pawn is missable. And yet they interact between each other flawlessly. Hell, having a house is missable. I'm no longer talking about the game. I live in a box. And I've had the same address for years. There's a lot of new, but it's mostly, if not entirely, refinements over the formula that Dragon's Dogma 1 established. And here, by the way, I live right here. I think that's where a lot of people's disappointment comes from. Notice how I said Dragon's Dogma 1 and not the expansion Dark Arisen. Bitter Black Isle is, by all accounts, a lot more beloved than the original game. But that's not the part of the game that got a sequel. Itsuno didn't even make Dark Arisen. Dragon's Dogma 2 is very deliberately Itsuno's attempt at completing the vision he had for the original game, without Dark Arisen being a part of it. That's why the setting is so similar, the structure's the same, the combat's the same, and the story is... you know... I don't want to say good. I definitely don't want to say good. So yeah, it's the same.
The master works all, you can't go wrong. Come again.
After 30 hours of doing exactly fuck all, it's finally time to fight the big bad dragon. Yeah, that one. From here on out, this video is gonna have spoilers galore, so if you give a shit, you should pledge to my Patreon, and then leave, and then pledge to my Patreon. Just like the first game again, you climb up a big-ass tower and fight the gay little wizard till he gets punked by the real dragon. Stop me if this sounds familiar. He dangles your wife in front of you, makes you choose between wife and death, you climb on top of him, big speech.
Thou wishest to dismantle the world's will.
You fight him for real this time, and yeah, much in line with the rest of DD2, it's the same as the first game, but... worse? Huh. Yeah, this one surprised me too. For a game that generally improved on everything the original did, it's pretty shocking the actual fight with the dragon is kinda... whatever. So the dragon becomes old and ugly and dusty, and then... You won? Wait, what? What did I win? Is it the credits? Oh, this is ending! Huh. Sure. The game does a little clip show of the opening cutscene and sort of mirrors the ending of DD1 where you become the Seneschal. You walk around and you don't really do much. Again, you can wave at people. That's pretty $80. So you sit down and the Blue Man group is sitting too. Hey man, what's your fucking problem?
Why do you pursue me, Arisen? You have fulfilled your charge, are you not satisfied? Seek you greater status? Perhaps to rule the world entire. Even the beating of your reclaimed heart was born of the great will of this world. Yet you would abandon it. Everything in this world, all that you have come to know as reality, is the creation of the great will. Should that will be lost, no mortal being could survive. However, if regret yet assails your spirit, then perhaps you should reaffirm your choice. Witness with your own eyes, or through the eyes of another, the fate of this world.
Thou wishest to dismantle the world.
Wait, what? Frog Fractions is a browser-based edutainment game developed by Twinbeard Studios for the Adobe Flash and released worldwide on October 25th, 2012. Described as game by rock, paper, rock. Players take control of the titular frog, named Hop, with the goal of stopping an onslaught of bug-adjacent creatures from taking your stash of fruit-adjacent consumables, all whilst teaching you, the player, basic to advanced numerical fractions.
If the player decides to break the game at any point by going underwater and collecting a billion fruit, Frog Fractions becomes a shmup Star Fox parody. Then Hop is placed on trial for his crimes against the bugs, and it becomes a law-based visual novel, then an Abzu-style swimming simulator, then a sci-fi text adventure game, then Dance Dance Revolution, then a pornography-based economy management simulator, at the end of which it comes full circle back to fucking Frog Fractions. It is a nightmare video game, and I hate Twinbeard Studios.
After you confront the Pathfinder, you're placed inside a time loop. You awaken on the back of the dragon, you fight the dragon, you kill the dragon, you become the king, you reaffirm your choice. Forever. I'm not joking. I must have fought Grigori like 5 times before I realized this wasn't going to stop. A lot of people think this is how the game ends. And I mean, who could blame them? If you go back to the main menu, the game lets you start New Game Plus. And that definitely wasn't there before. So what's the fucking deal? Is this really Dragon's Dogma 2? At this point, I started experimenting. That's what I like to call coping. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed the thing you have to do to unlock the good ending and the rest of the game. It also comes with infinite chocolate and head and V-Bucks. Maybe I can do something on his back. Guys, if we decommission all the nukes, we'll get chapter 3. Maybe I can use. Wait.
So I need such a way. You smatter.
You have strayed, Arisen. And for what? Lest you forget. You have a world where you belong. There, you are to fell the great evil in your path and rule the people as their sovereign. For that is who you are. And it is my wish that you should live out that life of purpose. The time has come for you to return. But my children shall see you there safely.
Let us go home, together. to a world under your rightful rule.
To a world all your own.
This is your will? Then behold, a world unmerciful, bereft with benevolent hands and eyes.
I've been lying to you this entire time. Dragon's Dogma 2 is not Dragon's Dogma 1. It's Dragon's Dogma 2. You get a title drop at the 80-hour mark. Up until now, you've been playing a fake video game, a meta remake of the first installment. The game makes fun of you for thinking that's all there was to it. Now you've unlocked, you've earned the sequel. Enjoy. This blew my fucking mind. I had to lie down on my fucking couch and stare at the ceiling for 15 minutes after this happened. My girlfriend thought I had low blood sugar, and fuck me, I probably did. The new world you wake up in is fucked up beyond recognition. There's enemies fucking everywhere, there's new bosses, new gear to find, and new areas to explore since all the water and brine in the game gets sucked up and used to cover the sky in red death. One of those new areas is your new hub, the Seafloor Shrine. Only it's not new. At all. Remember, Arisen, 'tis said that all roads lead to Gran Soren. The world of Dragon's Dogma 1 has been underneath you this entire time. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game figuratively and literally built on the bones of the original game. In fact, if you put the maps side by side, Casardis is located where the excavation site would be, meaning that both games technically start in the exact same place. After the title drop, the game becomes this fucked up rat race where your goal is to rescue all the story characters before the brine consumes everything and the world resets. And they will only trust you if you've done quests for them. Everything mattered. And you only have 7 in-game days to accomplish this. It also becomes a pseudo-roguelike, because if you die once, you have to start the Unmoored World from the very beginning. And if you do die, you reawaken in a weirdly familiar hut, wearing different but weirdly familiar clothes. You reincarnate as the fucking fisherman from Harv. That old motherfucker is a failed Arisen from a previous cycle. That's why he knows everything that's gonna happen. That's why he tries to sail away on his boat every day. In his head, the brine no longer exists. And now, you are him in the new world. The cycle has continued. You have failed. After saving everyone and killing all the brine monsters, you and your pawn team up one last time to kill the Pathfinder and end the cycle for good. But not before your pawn turns into the Dragon's Plague and helps you land the final blow. And like, as cool as that shit is, I never got why it happened. Why did my pawn turn into a shadow freak and start yapping away about...
Beyond measure. A fledgling will that burns within my breast.
And then it clicked. A huge theme of Dragon's Dogma is taking back your free will. No fate but what we make type shit. It's everywhere. From the cycle, to the brine, to the beer, to the keys, to the car, to the trees. Dragon's Plague is a disease that pawns can catch beyond the rift that will nuke your town if you're not paying attention. And the main symptom of Dragon's Plague, before they nerfed it and gave everybody red eyes, is pawns stop listening to your commands. They start acting of their own volition. They start manifesting their free will. That's what Dragon's Plague is. The world the Pathfinder has created is a world where free will is a disease. And that's only the mystery I managed to solve. In New Game Plus, there have been reports of NPCs randomly having glowing red eyes. I have no idea what this means. Can story characters just get Dragon's Plague now? Or is it just a manifestation of the Pathfinder controlling them? Can I fix her? Who do you voodoo bitch? Or is it just a bug? Here's the thing. NPCs having glowing red eyes exclusively in New Game Plus already feels way too specific to be a mistake. But what really drives me up the fucking wall is, a couple weeks before the game dropped, Eurogamer managed to interview Itsuno. They specifically asked him about why the title screen doesn't have a 2. A very normal question. In response, Itsuno said this: "All we can say is, nothing in this game is unintentional." And we'll leave it at that. I think I hate him. This game is fucking brilliant. In one fell swoop, Itsuno managed to make both a remake and a sequel to the first game. Do you know how insane that is? I've never seen this before in my life. Ever. On this scale. Because I have seen this before. In Glittermitten Grove. Because Glittermitten Grove is not Glittermitten Grove. It's Frog Fractions 2. The Kickstarter was successful. The sequel exists in this game. The whole fucking Fairy Town management simulation gobbledygook is a front. If you dig a hole deep enough underground, you find a door, and opening that door turns the game into TXT World, a collection of minigames like Alien Roommate and Battle Chess that are hidden inside a Zelda-like overworld. It lets you import your Mass Effect save data. It does nothing. It does fucking nothing. When you beat TXT World, you realize that TXT World is not TXT World. And it's not Frog Fractions 2 either. It's Frog Fractions 3. Because Twinbeard Studios considers Frog Fractions 2 to be the ARG that Kickstarter backers had to complete to find Frog Fractions inside Glittermitten Grove. You people make me sick. Years later, Frog Fractions Game of the Decade Edition comes out, free of charge. It's just a Steam port of the original. It's normal. Unless you buy the fucking hat. Hop's iconic cap is not Hop's iconic cap. It's Frog Fractions 4! It is a 2D flight game, a Telltale-style point-and-click, DJ Hero, Ikaruga, Dig Dug, Metal Gear. Every time you die, it'll spoil a random piece of media for you. It is a nightmare video game. It made my fucking power go out while I was recording this footage. And by the way, this might not be over. Frog Fractions 5 could exist. We don't know! Like a dog landmine from World War II, that fucking game could be out there for some poor Eurasian child to stumble onto! Their birthday was tomorrow! And now they're on the news! I loved that kid! Crunch is not enough! I need to kill Twinbeard Studios! Frog Fractions Game of the Decade Edition is both a remake and a sequel of itself. It is the only other game I can think of that has done this. And of course Twinbeard Studios can do this. That's a fucking JPEG game made by mostly one fucking dude. Dragon's Dogma 2 was made by a team of many people and many money. Investors paid for this, and it exists, and it's contextualized. Taking the concept of the cycle and applying it to the concept of remakes and sequels, and using this as an opportunity to both create the game you originally wanted to make without any roadblocks and a sequel to that dream? Being speechless is not enough. I need to kill myself. Dragon's Dogma 1 released in 2012. It ended up having more than half of its content cut. It was prime for a sequel. We thought it would never happen. 12 years later, Itsuno has achieved his true vision. Because Dragon's Dogma 2 is not Dragon's Dogma 1. And it's not Dragon's Dogma 2 either. It's the end of the video.
I'm dead serious, by the way. This is it. This is how it ends. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking on it. Wow, look at all those patrons. Okay, it's time to go. Bye-bye. Don't look at how much time is left. Please don't look at how much time is left. It gets worse.
A week ago, I had, like, an epiphany. I don't think this is where the story ends. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is about Itsuno. I think this entire game is an allegory for Itsuno's feelings on the current state of the game industry, the oversaturation of remakes, the fear of creating new and original ideas, and the torturous experience of working at Capcom for these past 20 years.
Look, okay, I know how this sounds. I know that I look and sound batshit insane right now, but please hear me out, okay? I haven't showered since I've thought of this.
The entire premise of DD2 is about sticking to the script of DD1. The script is good. The script is safe. Don't you love the script? You are constantly guided by a higher force who tells you what to do and only intervenes if things go off script. The intro to this game is incredibly unique until the Pathfinder shows up, gives you your memories back, and sets you on the right path. Ambrosius wasn't going to give you the Godsbane until that higher force made him do it, because that's what happens in the first game. DD2 itself is the same as the first one, only prettier and more refined. It's wearing the same goddamn clothes! Where things start to get muddy is during the dragon fight. In the original, killing the dragon breaks the world and opens a gateway to challenge the Seneschal and become the ruler of the world. In DD2, killing the dragon just cuts the credits. Even that higher force acknowledges how jarring it is.
You have fulfilled your charge. Are you not satisfied? Seek you greater status? Perhaps to rule the world entire?
The game knows that this was disappointing. It's taunting you. So why doesn't killing the dragon break the world this time? It's because this is not a world-ending event anymore. It's a formality. It's expected of you. It's what happens in the first game. It's now part of the script. Even the dragon itself is sick of it. He begs you to see the true world for yourself and let it end. I honestly feel like this fight is less cinematic than the first games on purpose. Because to the dragon, this is no longer a test of the Arisen's mettle. The grandeur is gone. This is routine. When you reach the throne room, the higher force that's been feeding you this entire story tells you that he knows this is what you want. In fact, he's so confident in this that he puts you in a time loop, repeating the same thing over and over and over again to reassure you that this game, the one you just played, is what you want. He's genuinely surprised that you're not satisfied. He thinks he's helping you. It's only once you break the script, killing yourself and skipping the dragon fight entirely, plunging into the brine, which in itself is a metaphor for the control of human will, which is very established in this series, that you are faced with this higher force once again, who throws a total fucking hissy fit and goes, fine, you want your sequel? You can have it, but I know that you're not gonna like it. And this is what the sequel looks like. He presents it as this evil, scary thing. What's new is evil, and he lets you wallow in it. From his perspective, you have made your bed, and now you have to lie in it. Put yourself in Itsuno's shoes. You love RPGs. You love action games. You love being in the year 2000. You've been wanting to make a combat-focused RPG your entire life. You build a pitch using all the experience you got from working on the arcade release of Dungeons & Dragons, and then you pitch that pitch to your boss at Capcom, you have all of these design documents laid out, detailing the structure of the game, the setting, the genre, even the fucking pawn system was part of that pitch. A system enabling a single-player RPG to have party members created by your friends and then hired online. He came up with all of this when New York City still had both towers. Capcom listens to your pitch. They say no. Now go fix Devil May Cry 2. You know, the one that's going through a development inferno right now. You know, like Dante. It's like Dante. Go make it good. Attaboy. Hey, by the way, we're green-lighting Monster Hunter instead. By the way, I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that Monster Hunter ripped off Dragon's Dogma. I'm not fucking stupid. I'm just saying that if I had pitched a Western fantasy-based action RPG that I've been wanting to make my whole life, where you kill monsters and it has a focus on deeply mechanical combat, and that pitch got rejected, and instead a pitch that had the exact same DNA as mine, that was also a Western fantasy-based action RPG where you kill monsters and there's deeply mechanical combat, hearing that got improved instead of my pitch, I'd be a little bit annoyed. Now, what's really funny is that while I was reading articles on this, I saw the name Ryozo Tsujimoto, you know, the Monster Hunter guy, and I thought, wait a minute, Tsujimoto, where have I heard that name before? And then I remembered my own script. Kenzo Tsujimoto is the founder and CEO of Capcom. Ryozo Tsujimoto is his son. So if I found out that my pitch got rejected and then a different pitch got approved that had incredibly similar DNA to my idea, and I found out that the guy who made that pitch is the CEO's son, I'd be fucking furious. 8 years later, Capcom is currently planning to push out big-budget, bombastic, awesome games to try to appeal to a Western audience. Historians would later call this the abysmal dog shit era. They are very open to ideas. It was during this era that Itsuno once again tried to pitch Dragon's Dogma. Because if there's one thing the West loves, it's oblivion. And the pitch was, if you can believe it, the same exact fucking pitch that he made 8 years ago. But this time he doesn't hear a no. He hears a maybe. Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of weird shit. A lot of this is a bit out there, a bit too unique. This isn't the kind of game that we usually produce, and I just don't understand how any of this could be fun. This isn't paraphrasing. They literally said that. We kinda have no faith in this project, and I'm afraid the budget is gonna reflect that. But it also has to sell 1 million copies. Thank you. Okay. So how much money am I getting?
$7? Are you fucking serious?
Dragon's Dogma 1 comes out. And even though more than half the content was cut, Itsuno is still tremendously proud of it. Because despite everything, its design remained actually identical to the one that he wrote 12 years ago. And I know this because he shows those design documents from fucking 2000. And they all still apply. This is insane! This almost never happens in game development. Ever! Especially at this scope, and especially with only $7. Around a year later, in 2013, Itsuno hands in his resignation letter at Capcom. Capcom founder Kenzo Tsujimoto begs him to stay. Hey man, if you stay, we'll let you make whatever the fuck you want. Itsuno says that what he wants is Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma 2. And although Dragon's Dogma is the project that he's personally the most proud of, and he considers it his biggest success, he thinks that Devil May Cry 5 needs to happen right now. For no reason. Devil May Cry 5 releases in 2019. It does incredibly well on every front. Itsuno can now make whatever the fuck he wants. And he makes this game, and he tells this story. This is all just speculation. This is all just a fucking theory I had. This is just a bunch of MatPat shit. I have no idea what actually... I obviously have no fucking idea what actually went down between Itsuno and Capcom. And the only way we'll ever find out what happened is if fucking Itsuno himself, or Itsuno's wife, or Itsuno's legal team, or Itsuno's husband come out and corroborate any of this shit. I could be talking out of my ass. I love to do that. For all I know, Itsuno loves working at Capcom. He's been with them for 30 years. I'm gonna show you an article for no reason. Dragon's Dogma 1 released in 2012. The very next project that Capcom assigned Itsuno to was a remake. Months later, he tried to resign. 11 years later, Itsuno has achieved his true vision. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is about Itsuno. I think the Pathfinder is an allegory for the executives, the suits, an entity obsessed with creating a cycle of the same script over and over and over again, and outright rejecting new ideas, presenting sequels and what is different as evil. An entity who has full control over a world they did not create. A world where free will is a disease. A world where hitting New Game Plus is the bad ending, where you tell this entity that they're right. You do want this. You do want the remake. And the game constantly reminds you of the choice you have made. A game where nothing in it is unintentional. I ran all this deranged bullshit by a couple friends to make sure I wasn't going full, IKEA is putting kids in your couch, or whatever. One of my friends said it would be funny if Itsuno's last game before quitting was a giant fuck you to Capcom that nobody picked up on. My friend had no idea how funny he was being. I downloaded the soundtrack today, the theme song for the credits of the true ending of Dragon's Dogma 2. Is called A Letter to No One. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is an autobiography. I think it's the story of a man desperate to achieve free will and create what he wants. A world free of the hand that guides, free of the cycle. And I think you all know where I'm going with this. Because Dragon's Dogma 2 is not Dragon's Dogma 1. And it's not Dragon's Dogma 2 either. It's Frog Fractions 5.
Hey, thanks for watching. Ignore the fact that my throat sounds like shit. I've been like this for like 2 weeks. Let's look at some delicious questions. Keraldo asks, when was the turning point for you when it all clicked? I had to retry playing the game 4 times before my brain understood what the hell was going on and a new addiction was born. Well, for me, I already really liked the first game despite its many shortcomings. What clicked for me was, I think, finding Warrior and then sticking to it. Because initially the starting vocations are kind of like very whatever. My favorite archetype is always like the guy with a big fucking sword. So the moment I got Warrior, I was so happy because in my opinion, Dragon's Dogma 2 gives you the best Guts Berserk simulator out of any game that has this archetype as in like a playable action game scenario. Sunion asks, there's a few footage gaps. Is that just things still getting edited and footage still being collected? Otherwise phenomenal video, worth every penny I toss to those trees off the road hoping they go to you. First of all, they do. The footage gaps that Sunion is talking about is from the Patreon preview that I posted a couple days before this went live. Yeah, all the gaps is how I edit stuff is I always do just a lazy pass when I drag and drop footage that I have, and then any gaps that I have left, I take notes on what it is, where it is, and what I'm missing, and then I go back and I get the highly specific footage necessary for the line that is playing. What sucks is that doing this for a game like Dragon's Dogma that doesn't have any save slots and autosaves constantly is really fucking annoying. And now I'd like to thank my producers, which include Carson, Dajh, Foggyboy, Hallowed Grounds, Keraldo, Death Before Retreat, and MINOTAUR, and my gorgeous patrons, which include Adventurer Huggles, Aren Kresky, Bloodspear, Daniel Johnson, Grimnarwhal, Linus Sex Tips, Oliver Zakery, Oris104, Richard Brimley, Sunion, and Susana. I'm gonna go into a coma. Hope you liked the video. It was incredibly experimental and weird, and I'm sorry if you didn't like it, because honestly, I'm not even sure if I like it. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.